A very good morning and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV news broadcast this Saturday morning, bringing you top stories from India and across the world. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the headlines. Over 70 people killed and several others injured in suicide attack on two mosques in Afghanistan. President Ashraf Ghani vows to step up fight against terrorists. Spain's king calls on Spaniards to live together in fresh appeal following Catalonia crisis. Madrid to unveil measures to halt region's independence bid today. Prime Minister lays the foundation stones for 5 reconstruction projects in Kedarnath, asks people of Uttarakhand to make a state favourite destination for tourists. Heavy rains in 8 districts in Odisha, downpour in parts of Gangetic, West Bengal as well. Forecast for more rain in the wake of depression. And India to play against Pakistan in the ongoing Asia Cup hockey tournament in Dhaka today. India had defeated their arch rivals in the pool stage in the tournament. Our top story this morning is from Afghanistan, where over 70 people have been killed in the latest wave of militant attacks in the country. The attacks on Friday targeted a Shia and Sunni mosque. No group has claimed responsibility so far for the attacks. All the details.
Suicide bombers striking 2 mosques in Afghanistan during Friday prayers. One a Shiite mosque in Kabul and another a Sunni mosque in western Ghor province. Over 60 people killed.
مردم در حین عبادت بودن، دشمن داخل مسجد میشه، خود انفجار میده. تعداد شهدا دقیق نیست.
No group has claimed responsibility for either of the attacks, but this is the latest in a string of devastating attacks this week by the Taliban across the country. President Ashraf Ghani issuing a statement condemning both the attacks, vowing that security forces will step up fight to eliminate terrorists who target Afghans of all religions and tribes.
با شفاخانه ما انتقال داده شده به تعداد 25 نفر زخمی داریم. از این حادثه امشب در حدود 4 نفر هم شهید داریم.
The Islamic State in Afghanistan has taken responsibility for most of the attacks targeting Shiites. Earlier this year, following an attack claimed by the IS on the Iraqi embassy in Kabul, the militant group effectively declared war on Afghanistan Shiites, saying they would be the target of future attacks. Several mosques have been attacked following this warning. The US condemned the terrorist attacks. The State Department said, in the face of these senseless and cowardly acts, our commitment to Afghanistan is unwavering. It has been a brutal week in Afghanistan with more than 70 killed, mostly policemen and Afghan soldiers, but also civilians as militant attacks have surged. Afghan forces have struggled to combat a resurgent Taliban since US and NATO forces formally concluded their combat mission at the end of 2014, switching to a counter-terrorism and support role. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Somalia now, where thousands of anguished Somalis gathered to pay at the site of the country's deadliest attack, while the toll rose to 358 and dozens remain missing. Now, Somalia's government has blamed the bombing on extremist group Al-Shabaab, which has not claimed responsibility so far. The US is expected to play a supporting role in the new offensive that President Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed has set to launch today, according to reports. Somalia's president will announce a state of war against the Al-Shabaab extremist group blamed for the bombing. The US military says that it carried out a drone strike this week against Al-Shabaab in Somalia shortly after the extremist group was blamed for the country's deadliest attack. Big story coming in from Europe, where Spain's government will today unveil measures to halt Catalonia's independence bid. Now, this could begin the starting of the active Article 155 of the Spain's constitution, which allows for the central authorities to take over all or some of the powers of Catalonia's regional government. However, the move is likely to further inflame tensions between Spain and Catalan leaders, who are now threatening to provoke a unilateral declaration of independence. Meanwhile, King Philip VI has now called on Spaniards to live together in democracy.
La España del siglo XXI, de la que Cataluña es y será una parte esencial, debe basarse en una suma leal y solidaria de esfuerzos, de sentimientos, de afectos y de proyectos. Una suma que siga alimentando nuestra vocación universal, nuestro legítimo orgullo de pertenecer a la gran realidad democrática que hoy es Europa.
An emotional speech by King Philip VI of Spain that received a standing ovation. The king speaking out forcefully at a public event against Catalonia's independence drive, insisting that the region is and will remain an essential part of the country, and calling on Spaniards to live together.
Y lo resolverá por medio de sus legítimas instituciones democráticas dentro del respeto a nuestra Constitución y ateniéndose a los valores y principios de la democracia parlamentaria en la que vivimos desde hace ya 39 años.
The king's second intervention in the crisis comes even as Catalonia's leader has threatened to declare independence, while the government in Madrid is looking to put in place measures to suspend the region's autonomy. Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy is looking to invoke Article 155 of the Constitution that will impose direct rule on Catalonia and holding elections there. The full set of measures will be declared today after a cabinet meeting.
Yo realmente con el Partido Socialista estoy de acuerdo, porque hemos llegado a un acuerdo. Por tanto, las medidas que yo presentaré mañana serán unas medidas acordadas por el Partido Popular, el Partido Socialista, Ciudadanos y el Gobierno. Luego cada uno los califica como estime oportuno y conveniente.
Although Rajoy warns that the Catalan independence issue has reached a critical point, his ruling People's Party says there is still time for the Catalan president, Carles Puigdemont, to end Spain's worst political crisis in 4 decades. This comes as on Thursday, a second deadline expired for the Catalan government to shelve its plans. However, Puigdemont accuses the Spanish authorities of ignoring his appeals for negotiations and repressing the independence movement. He has promised to call a formal vote on independence in Catalonia's parliament if Article 155 is invoked. Catalan separatists have called for protests amid increasing tensions.
Davant la presència inqualificable de presos polítics, altra vegada ha de sortir al carrer. Per tant, crec que des d'aquest punt de vista, com ja s'ha dit, aquesta no és una manifestació dels que tenen una determinada opció política o una altra. Aquesta és una mobilització de tots els ciutadans i ciutadanes de Catalunya, de tota la societat civil.
A referendum regarded as illegal by Spain was held in Catalonia on 1st of October. The Catalan government insists that the results of the referendum gives it a clear mandate to forge ahead with the creation of a sovereign republic. It says that 90% of the participants in the poll opted for independence on a turnout of about 43%. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the first ever tri-services joint exercise between Indian and Russian armed forces, Indra 2017, is underway in the eastern military district of Russia near Vladivostok. Exercise Indra in its previous 9 editions has been conducted as a single service exercise alternately between the 2 countries. But the year 2017 marks a major milestone as this exercise has been upgraded to involve all the 3 services of the armed forces, the Army, Navy and the Air Force, which further accentuates the importance of joint services in the present world environment. The Indian contingent will comprise of 350 personnel from the Army, 80 from the Air Force, 2 IL-6 aircrafts and 1 frigate and corvette each from the Navy. Meanwhile, the Russian Federation Armed Forces will be represented by approximately 1,000 troops of the 5th Army, Marines and ships of Pacific Fleet and aircraft from the Eastern Military District. And what else is making news across the world? Let's take a look in World Wrap. Pakistan's ousted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has been indicted by an anti-graft court in a 3rd corruption case related to flagship investments and other offshore companies. The Accountability Court charged Sharif for holding assets beyond his known sources of income. It was one of the 3 cases of corruption and money laundering registered by the National Accountability Bureau against Sharif on 8th of September. At least 16 policemen, including 14 officers, were killed and 6 others injured during clashes with terrorists in Egypt's Giza city. The police forces received information about a number of terrorists hiding in the desert area. Clashes erupted when they tried to arrest them and exchanged fire. Terrorist attacks, mainly targeting police and military, have increased in Egypt after the ouster of former President Mohamed Morsi in 2013 by military following massive protests against his rule. US President Donald Trump said on Friday that the United Nations has tremendous potential but has been underutilized in recent years. The statement came as Trump welcomed the chief of the world body to the White House for a meeting. The meeting between Trump and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is expected to focus on Trump's reform agenda, the Iran nuclear deal, Middle East peace prospects and global extremism. The president had earlier used his United Nations debut in September to push the UN to cut its bureaucracy and fulfill its mission. And US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson will visit India next week for his first bilateral interaction after President Donald Trump made his first policy statement on South Asia. He will also visit Pakistan to persuade India's neighbor to fulfill obligations on terrorism. Now, India has welcomed Tillerson's visit and hopes that the US's new policy will help consolidate the bilateral relationship in the long run.
US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson will visit India on the 24th of October as part of his week-long visit to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Switzerland and Pakistan. His visit to India and Pakistan will coincide with President Donald Trump's announcement of a South Asia policy in which he indicated greater cooperation with India, while blaming Pakistan for harboring terrorists and creating safe havens for them. Trump's intentions to cooperate with India was further quantified by Rex Tillerson, who said that India and the US should oppose China's illegal international practices. Indian External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar said there is positive understanding between the two countries. Experts see it a new beginning in realistic relations between both nations. The MEA spokesperson said, and I quote, "The US Secretary has made a significant policy statement on India-US relations and its future. He brought out its various strengths and highlighted our shared commitment to a rule-based international order. I appreciate his positive evaluation of the relationship and share his optimism about its future directions. We look forward to welcoming him in India next week for detailed discussions on further strengthening of our partnership," unquote.
While President Trump is going to Japan, Southeast Asia and China next month, Tillerson is coming here. So India is going to be in the focus of United States of America as a great partner just after Xi Jinping's speech.
China seems unnerved by Tillerson's recent statements about India and the US articulation of its South Asia policy. China said the relations between India and China should be for peace and stability in the region.
我们说过，我们乐见美国跟印度，乐见世界上所有国家都能够发展正常的国家关系。只要这样的一种关系，它是有利于促进地区的和平稳定发展，有利于增进地区国家之间的互信。
Significantly, Tillerson will visit Pakistan before India so that he can discuss issues related to Pakistan in entirety with India, overturning the former practice of visiting India before Pakistan. It also marks a change in the way oldest and biggest democracies are going to conduct their relations in future.
American quest for India seems real because China and Pakistan are playing negative role in Asia-Pacific region. But it will be interesting to see that how far America can become alternative to China for India as far as goods and services are concerned. The real alliance between India and America will also depend on this realistic factor. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Television with camera person Manoj in Delhi.
And in Breakfast News, time for a very short break. Up next, we have more national and sports news. Stay with us.
Cashew nut, what we call otherwise a kaju, is exported by India even today and consumed within the country also substantially. I'm talking about the liquid from the shell, which is very harmful, very corrosive. If you're not careful, it will blind you. The use of cashew nut shell liquid to print microelectronic circuits has given me immense joy.
Watch Eureka with Dr. S.V. Ishwaran, Emeritus Professor, Regional Centre for Biotechnology, Faridabad, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back after the break. Now, a day after meeting soldiers of the Indian Army in Jammu and Kashmir on Diwali, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Kedarnath shrine on Friday. He offered prayers at the temple and also laid the foundation stone for 5 major reconstruction projects at Kedarpuri and said that his visit to the temple strengthened his resolve to serve the nation.
The Kedarnath temple in Uttarakhand decked up to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister arrived at the shrine on Friday morning, a day before it closes for winter. He offered prayers and performed the Rudrabhishek before addressing a gathering. The Prime Minister pledged to devote himself to realizing the dream of a developed India by 2022, the year that marks 75 years of India's freedom from British rule.
आज फिर एक बार यहां से संकल्पबद्ध होकर के यहां से नई ऊर्जा को प्राप्त करके भोले बाबा के आशीर्वाद लेकर के पूर्ण पवित्र मन से दृढ़ संकल्प से 2022 भारत की आजादी के 75 साल हर हिंदुस्तानी का संकल्प, हर हिंदुस्तानी के दिल में दुनिया में हिंदुस्तान को सिर मोर पहुंचाने की इरादा, बाबा के आशीर्वाद से हर हिंदुस्तानी में वो चेतना जगेगी। हर हिंदुस्तानी उस संकल्प को पार करने के लिए जी जान से जुटेगा, इस श्रद्धा के साथ।
The Prime Minister also laid the foundation stone of 5 major reconstruction projects at Kedarpuri. These include improved facilities for devotees, construction of retaining walls and ghats at the Mandakini and Saraswati rivers, an approach road to the temple, and reconstructing Adi Guru Shankaracharya's shrine that was devastated in the 2013 floods. Describing the projects as ambitious and expensive, the Prime Minister assured there will be no dearth of funds and they will be completed in a time-bound manner. Modi also attacked the opposition Congress for refusing his offer in 2013 to help in the reconstruction of the Kedarnath temple town after the flash floods.
मैंने उस समय के सरकार से प्रार्थना की थी कि आप गुजरात सरकार को और गुजरात को केदारनाथ के पुनर्निर्माण का काम दे दीजिए। जैसा देशवासियों का सपना होगा मैं पूरा कर दूंगा। जब कमरे में हम बैठे थे तब उस समय के मुख्यमंत्री सहमत हो गए। अचानक टीवी पे खबर आ गई कि मोदी अब केदारनाथ के पुनर्निर्माण की जिम्मेवारी ले रहा है, तो पता नहीं दिल्ली में तूफान मच गया। उनको लगा है ये गुजरात का मुख्यमंत्री अगर केदारनाथ भी पहुंच जाएगा, 1 घंटे के भंटर ऐसा तूफान खड़ा हो गया कि राज्य सरकार पर दबाव आया और राज्य सरकार को अधिकृत रूप से घोषणा करनी पड़ी कि हमें गुजरात की मदद की जरूरत नहीं है, हम कर देंगे।
This was Prime Minister Modi's second visit to Kedarnath this year. He visited the temple in May when it reopened for devotees after remaining closed for 6 months for winter. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Himachal Pradesh, where as many as 73 candidates filed their nominations on Friday for the 9th of November State Assembly polls, taking the total number of nominations filed so far to 100. As many as 25 independents also entered the fray, and over a dozen sitting MLAs and former ministers and MLAs also filed their nominations. Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh filed his nomination papers from Arki Vidhan Sabha constituency in Solan district. Singh had vacated the Shimla seat for his son Vikramaditya Singh and shifted to Arki. This is for the fourth time that the 83-year-old Congress leader has shifted his constituency. He is hopeful that his son Vikramaditya will get to contest from Shimla Rural, which he represented. The last date for filing of nominations is 23rd of October and the scrutiny of papers will be taken up on 24th of October and the last date of withdrawal is 26th of October.
मैंने देखा कि अर्की की सीट जो है पिछले कई वर्षों से कांग्रेस जीत नहीं रही है, तो मैंने चुनाव से पहले ही मैंने मन बना दिया था कि मैं अर्की की सीट से चुनाव लड़ूंगा और यहाँ विजय हासिल होगी.
On to some other news now. Gujarat, the Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has hit out at Congress leader P. Chidambaram for his criticism of the Election Commission. Rupani said that the opposition party is scared of the upcoming polls in the BJP-ruled state. Earlier, Chidambaram had criticized the Election Commission for not announcing the election dates for the Gujarat Assembly elections. He said that by not announcing the Gujarat poll dates, the Election Commission has authorized Prime Minister Narendra Modi to declare the dates at his last rally. The former Finance and Home Minister also claimed that the Election Commission will be recalled from its extended holiday after the Gujarat government announces what he claims its concessions and freebies. The EC had on 12th of October announced that polling for the assembly elections in Himachal Pradesh, but it had held off announcing the Gujarat schedule. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Gujarat tomorrow, making the third visit to the state this month. During the visit, the Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stones of a number of projects worth several thousand crore rupees in Bhavnagar and Vadodara districts. In Vadodara, Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate 8 different projects worth 1,140 crore rupees. The projects are 166 crore rupee water treatment plant, 2 flyovers collectively worth 265 crore rupees, a 55 crore rupee deer safari park and a 6 crore rupees vet hospital, including many others. He will also address the people at Navlakhi compound in the city. On to some other news now. The CBI has written to the government for reconsideration of its 2005 decision and allow the agency to file a special leave petition in the Supreme Court in the Bofors case, challenging the quashing of an FIR in the alleged scam. In a letter to the Department of Personnel and Training, the CBI conveyed this. The government officials said that the CBI was in favor of filing the SLP in 2005, but the then UPA government did not give its nod. The Delhi High Court had on 31st of May 2005 quashed all charges against the Hinduja brothers and the Bofors company and had castigated the CBI for its handling of the case, saying that it had cost the exchequer about 250 crore rupees. Before the 2005 verdict, another judge of the Delhi High Court had exonerated the late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi in the case and had directed a framing of forgery against the Bofors company. News from Odisha now, with at least 25 blocks in 8 districts receiving heavy rainfall. The state government has termed the calamity as a state-specific disaster and has asked the collectors to undertake relief measures wherever required. 25 blocks of 8 districts have received very heavy rainfall ranging from 135 millimeters to 274 millimeters since yesterday. Relief measures and immediate repair and restoration of our public infrastructure will be undertaken by Disaster Response Fund. Though the intensity of the rainfall has decreased negligibly, but the Bhubaneswar Met Office forecast heavy showers to continue for the next 24 hours. The fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea by the Met Office. Rainwater inundated low-lying areas and roads in many parts of the state, including Balasore, Mayurbhanj and Puri districts. Heavy rains also lashed parts of Gangetic, West Bengal. The Met Department has forecast more downpour till today in the wake of a depression, raising the possibility of a flood-like situation in many coastal districts. News from Maharashtra now, terming the ongoing strike of the employees of the Maharashtra State Road Transport Corporation as illegal. The Bombay High Court has directed them to resume work immediately. In a late Friday evening order, the High Court also directed the committee set up by the state government to look into the employees' issues and to submit its interim report by 15th of November and the final report by 21st of December. The Bombay High Court also said that the government cannot remain a mute spectator, especially when it is affecting the public at large during the festive season. Over 1 lakh MSRTC employees went on an indefinite strike on Tuesday, demanding a salary hike in accordance with the recommendations of the 7th Pay Commission. The court was hearing 2 PILs seeking that the strike be declared illegal and the staff be asked to resume work. And let's get you some sports news now. India will play against Pakistan in the ongoing Asia Cup hockey tournament in Dhaka today. India is now top of the table with 4 points from a win and a draw. In the first clash between the two countries, India had defeated Pakistan by 3-1 in the pool stage. Both the teams would aim to extend their domination, and the final will be held on 22nd of October, and the winner of the tournament will qualify for the 2018 World Cup in India. News from the world of badminton, and ace player Kidambi Srikanth has reached the semi-finals of the ongoing Denmark Open tournament, while Saina Nehwal and HS Pranoy have bowed out of the tournament. Srikanth defeated world champion Victor Alexen in 3 games. He beat Alexen 14-21, 22-20, 21-7. Meanwhile, in another match, Saina Nehwal suffered a loss by 10-21, 13-21 to Japan's world number 5, Akane Yamaguchi, in the women's singles. While HS Pranoy also lost his match to world number 2, Korean Son Wan Ho, in the men's singles, 13-21, 18-21. And in more sports news, the Indian team has qualified for the final of the World Archery Championships in Mexico. The Indian team, comprising Trisha Dev, Lily Chanu Paunam and Jyoti Surekha Venam, defeated their German rivals quite comfortably. India beat the German team 232-227 in the compound women's semi-finals to set up a gold medal match against Colombia. The Indian squad held the highest per match average of any team in the field in Mexico. And in football, Ghana will face Mali in the ongoing FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Guwahati today. Two-time champion Ghana are seeking to revive their glorious days in the tournament. Ghana had been defeated 1-0 by Mali in the final of the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations, and they would be determined to avenge that loss. While Mali have already conceded 5 goals in the tournament, they would need to tighten their pull up their socks against their strong African rivals. Ghana topped their group with 2 wins. On the other hand, Mali stood second in Group C with an equal number of victories. That's it from me and my team in this edition of news. Thanks so much for watching.